The starship Endeavour drifted silently through the endless expanse of space. Its hull, once shiny and new, now bore scratches and dents from countless journeys across the Orion sector. Captain Lyra sat in the command chair, her eyes scanning the flickering console lights. The hum of the engines, faint but steady, was the only sound accompanying the soft blinking of warning signals. "Status report," she said, her voice calm but firm. Lieutenant Mara, seated at the engineering console, frowned as she typed commands. "Engines are stable for now, Captain, but the main drive core is operating at 40% efficiency. If we push further, it could fail completely." Lyra nodded. She had expected this. The skirmish with rogue asteroid miners had left more damage than they initially thought. The miners had only wanted resources, but their desperate tactics had caused a chain reaction that damaged multiple systems on the Endeavour. "Life support?" she asked. "All systems nominal, but we are low on reserve oxygen. We can make it to Earth if we don't push the engines too hard," Mara replied. Earth. The word alone was a comfort. It was far away, nearly 6 light years, but it was home. The idea that humans were already out there, working to keep each other safe, was enough to bring a small smile to Lyra's lips. "Helm, set a course for the nearest Earth relay station," Lyra ordered. "We'll need every bit of energy to keep the engines from overheating." The navigation officer, a young man named Rian, entered the coordinates. Course plotted. Estimated time to arrival: 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That was a long time to float in space with a damaged ship and a crew who had seen too much. Yet, despite the danger, Lyra felt a spark of hope. Humans were adaptable. They always had been. As the Endeavour drifted toward Earth, the crew began routine repairs. Mara worked alongside engineers, replacing damaged conduits and rewiring systems with remarkable speed. Even with limited resources, the team's determination shone through. Each success, no matter how small, was a reminder of what humans could achieve under pressure. Hours passed, and the deep silence of space weighed heavily on the crew. The stars outside were beautiful, endless points of light, but they also reminded everyone how isolated they were. Every crew member moved with purpose. Yet beneath their calm exterior, a quiet anxiety lingered. Lyra walked to the observation deck. She gazed at the distant blue dot of Earth, barely visible against the darkness of space. The planet looked peaceful, serene. It was a world that had nurtured humans for millennia, and now, it was the only hope they had for real help. Suddenly, the communication console beeped. Lyra and Rian rushed back to the bridge. "Receiving a transmission from Earth," Rian said, his fingers flying over the controls. The screen flickered to life, displaying a holographic projection. Instead of the standard repair instructions, the projection showed a smiling engineer, holding a steaming cup of coffee. The smell somehow traveled through the sensory link, and the crew instinctively leaned closer, inhaling the rich aroma. "Captain Lyra, crew of the Endeavour," the engineer said warmly. "We've been tracking your progress. We know you've been through a rough patch. Don't worry, we're sending more than just parts. We're bringing upgrades, coffee, and a fleet to back you up. Just hold tight." The crew blinked in surprise. "Coffee? Upgrades? A fleet?" Lyra's mouth opened, then closed again. This was not what they had expected. Did she just say coffee?" Rian asked, half laughing, half in disbelief. "Yes," Mara replied, a grin spreading across her face. "And apparently, upgrades and a fleet too." The holographic projection continued, showing schematics of enhanced engines, advanced shields, and a small fleet of human warships. Lyra couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humans had always found a way to protect and support each other, no matter the odds. This is incredible," Lyra whispered. She turned to her crew, who were already buzzing with excitement. "Prepare for arrival protocols. We're not just going to get repairs, we're going to be part of something bigger." The Endeavour continued its journey, but now, every crew member worked with renewed energy. Even minor tasks felt important. and every small repair was a step toward joining forces with the fleet that awaited them. Days passed. Communication with Earth became more frequent. Engineers sent advice, tips, and encouragement. They even shared jokes and stories to keep spirits high. The crew began to feel less like a solitary team and more like a part of a greater human effort. One morning, Lyra noticed something unusual on the sensors. A small object was approaching the ship at high speed. She tensed, ready for another threat. Rion squinted at the screen. It's a drone. Wait, it's scanning us. The drone projected a friendly hologram. Hello, Endeavor. We're part of Earth's repair fleet. We're on our way to you. Don't worry, we've got everything under control. Lyra laughed softly. Friendly drones now? This keeps getting better. The drone lingered for a moment, then zoomed off into the distance. Mara shook her head in disbelief. Humans really think of everything. They're sending drones to track our progress while sending the fleet ahead. The crew spent the rest of the day preparing. Supplies were reorganized, systems were double-checked, and everyone took a moment to rest. Even in the midst of anxiety, there was a sense of calm, an understanding that humans had a unique ability to turn adversity into opportunity. That night, Lyra stood alone on the observation deck again. She looked at Earth, now slightly closer, and felt a wave of gratitude. She thought about the engineers, the drones, and the fleet that would soon arrive. But more than that, she thought about humanity itself. Humans had always faced impossible odds through exploration, conflict, and survival. They had built civilizations on harsh worlds, crossed oceans, and reached for the stars. And now, even in the depths of space, they were ready to support each other, to ensure that no human faced danger alone. A soft chime brought Lyra back to the bridge. The drone's message repeated, reminding them that help was on the way. She turned to her crew, who were gathered around, eyes wide with anticipation. This is it, Lyra said. We're not alone. Earth hasn't just sent help, they've sent a reminder of what humans can do when we come together. The crew smiled, some with nervous laughter, some with quiet pride. They returned to their stations, preparing for the arrival of the fleet, the upgrades, and, yes, the coffee. As the stars stretched endlessly outside, the Endeavor no longer felt like a solitary ship drifting in the void. It was part of something larger, a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity. And in that moment, every crew member knew, whatever challenges lay ahead, humans would face them together. And somewhere in the distance, Earth's fleet moved closer, guided by engineers who knew that humanity's true strength was not just in technology or weapons, but in courage, cooperation, and the determination to rise above any challenge. The hum of the Endeavor's engines continued, steady and reassuring. The stars blinked in silent approval, and in the hearts of the crew, hope burned brighter than ever, because humans never gave up, and they never would. The Endeavor drifted closer to Earth's orbit. What had once been a distant blue dot now grew larger with each passing hour. The crew had grown used to the quiet hum of their damaged engines, the low chatter of consoles, and the endless expanse of stars, but nothing could have prepared them for what they saw next. A sudden flash of light appeared in the distance. At first, it looked like a reflection from the sun, but then shapes became clear, sleek, massive starships moving in perfect formation. Not just one, not two, but dozens of ships, each glinting with the fresh shine of new metal. The fleet moved in unison, like a single organism, and yet each ship seemed to have its own personality. Lieutenant Mara stared at the screen, disbelief painted across her face. Captain, is that? Captain Lyra leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. Yes, that's a fleet. Full human fleet. Rian, at the navigation console, nearly fell back in surprise. They're coming for us? Yes, Lyra said, her voice steady. Not just for repairs. They're here for us. And not just that, they brought upgrades. The fleet moved closer, sending out smaller service vessels that shimmered like silver fish around the giant ships. They came alongside the Endeavor, forming a protective ring. But what caught the crew off guard wasn't the sheer size or speed of the fleet. It was the way the humans aboard those ships acted. Calm, confident, and almost cheerful. Then the comms console beeped, and a holographic projection appeared in the middle of the bridge. A smiling engineer, holding a steaming cup of coffee, waved at the crew. The rich smell of the coffee traveled through the sensory link, causing several crew members to inhale deeply, nearly forgetting the fleet outside. "Welcome, Endeavor crew," the engineer said. "We've been tracking your journey. We know you've been through a tough patch. So we brought more than just parts. We brought upgrades, a fleet, and coffee. Lots of coffee." A laugh spread through the bridge. Even Lyra, usually reserved and serious, smiled. It was impossible not to feel a sense of awe and pride. Humans had done it again. They had found a way to combine technology, comfort, and morale into one perfectly timed gesture. "Coffee?" Rian repeated, grinning. "They really thought of everything." "Yes," Mara said, her fingers dancing over the controls to check the approaching service vessels. "And it's not just coffee. Look at those schematics. Shields, engines, even weapon systems. These upgrades are incredible." The first service vessel, sleek and silver, came to a stop beside the Endeavor. Hatches opened automatically, and robotic arms extended, carefully analyzing the ship's damaged hull. Lights flickered across the surface as the vessel's sensors scanned every system. "Begin repairs and upgrades immediately," the engineer's voice said from the comms link. "We'll be with you in person shortly. For now, let our drones handle the preliminary work." The crew watched as robotic arms moved in perfect coordination. Panels were replaced, damaged circuits repaired, and the engines were gently adjusted to receive the new enhancements. Mara and the engineering team worked alongside the drones, guiding them when needed. Every motion was precise. Every adjustment was seamless. Hours passed, and the Endeavor began to transform. The ship that had once drifted silently with warning lights flashing now gleamed with new energy. Shields hummed with enhanced power. Engines glowed brighter, promising speed and efficiency beyond what the crew had thought possible. Even the bridge consoles were upgraded with ergonomic designs and faster systems. "Captain," Mara said, stepping back from the main console. "The upgrades are amazing. It's like we have a brand new ship. And faster than before." Lyra smiled. "Humans never fail to impress. Not just the fleet. Not just the engineers. It's all of us. Working together." As the repairs continued, small shuttles appeared from the fleet, bringing human engineers and crew members. Unlike the standard military uniforms the Endeavor crew had expected, these engineers wore comfortable suits. With casual boots and bright smiles, they moved around the ship with ease, offering assistance and even joking lightly with the Endeavor crew. One engineer handed a cup of coffee to Mara. "You've earned this," she said with a wink. Mara took it, the rich aroma and warmth bringing a moment of comfort she hadn't realized she needed. She sipped slowly, savoring the taste. And for a moment, all worries seemed distant. Even as the crew enjoyed the brief respite, the engineers worked tirelessly. New shields were calibrated, engines tested, and emergency systems upgraded. The ship that had once been battered and vulnerable now shone with human ingenuity and care. Rian wandered toward the observation deck, gazing at the fleet surrounding them. "They didn't just send a repair team," he said quietly. "They brought a whole fleet. And they didn't even need a reason. Just because we're human." Lyra joined him, arms crossed. "Exactly. They're not just protecting us. They're showing what humanity can do when we work together. We're stronger than any one ship, any one crew. We're stronger together." The day passed, and Earth's fleet continued to coordinate. Holographic messages arrived with instructions for advanced maneuvers and new strategies for ship handling. Every crew member on the Endeavour absorbed the information quickly. Humans were quick learners, and the crew adapted to every new system with determination. As evening approached, though time and space was always relative, the first human personnel from the fleet came aboard. They walked through the corridors, laughing and talking with the Endeavour crew. They shared stories of Earth, of previous missions, of challenges they had faced and overcome. They joked about the small things, like the perfect way to brew coffee in zero gravity, or which pastries went best with morning shifts. For the first time in weeks, the Endeavour crew felt at ease. The ship was no longer just a vessel. It was a home again, a place where humans could thrive, not just survive. Then came the real surprise. A holographic engineer projected the schematics of new systems. Engines that could travel faster and more efficiently, shields that adapted to multiple threats, and even tactical systems designed to improve decision-making in combat. Lyra studied them carefully. "These aren't just repairs," she said, eyes wide. "These are upgrades that could change the way we operate in space. We could face dangers we never thought possible, and survive." Mara nodded, adjusting a panel with the help of a drone. "Humans don't just fix problems. They improve everything. Even a disaster becomes an opportunity." The crew continued working alongside the fleet personnel. Each hour brought new knowledge, new systems, and a growing sense of pride. They realized that this was more than just a repair mission. This was a chance to learn, to grow, and to prepare for whatever the universe might throw at them. At one point, Lyra gathered the crew in the main lounge, a space converted temporarily for meetings and meals. Coffee cups in hand, they shared stories of previous missions, of narrow escapes and clever maneuvers. They laughed at mistakes, marveled at triumphs, and felt a renewed sense of unity. "Remember," Lyra said, raising her cup, "we're not just a crew. We're part of something bigger." Earth didn't just send upgrades or a fleet, they sent a reminder. Humans never face challenges alone. The crew echoed her sentiment, voices steady and confident. Humans never face challenges alone. As the Endeavour gleamed with new systems, shields humming softly, and engines glowing brighter than ever, the fleet around them adjusted into formation. It was not a show of force but a message. We are here, together, ready for anything. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, but the Endeavour no longer felt isolated. The fleet's presence, combined with the engineer's guidance and the crew's determination, transformed the vast emptiness into a space filled with purpose, connection, and hope. Late that night, when the repairs were nearly complete, Lyra stood on the observation deck again. She looked at Earth, now closer than before, glowing softly against the dark void. The fleet moved steadily in orbit, a symbol of humanity's reach and capability. Somewhere below, engineers and fleet commanders watched and smiled. They knew that their efforts were not just about fixing a ship, they were about inspiring courage, unity, and the undeniable proof that humans could rise to any challenge. And in the quiet hum of the upgraded engines, in the aroma of coffee still lingering in the air, the crew of the Endeavour felt something they hadn't felt in weeks. True hope. Humans, they realized, didn't just survive. Humans thrived. And together, there was nothing they couldn't face. The fleet waited patiently, the service drones completed their work, and the Endeavour crew prepared for the next step. For repairs had become upgrades, help had become partnership, and the journey to Earth had become the first chapter of a much larger adventure. The Endeavour had been transformed. Its engines glowed brighter, shields hummed with strength, and every system had been upgraded by Earth's engineers. Yet, as Captain Lyra gazed at the ship's new capabilities, she knew upgrades alone were not enough. Technology was powerful, but only in skilled hands. The crew needed to learn, adapt, and prepare. A signal arrived from the fleet commander's ship, a massive vessel hovering nearby. The message was simple. Training begins immediately. Prepare for exercises. 2020-20. 2020-2012. Lyra called her crew together in the main lounge, coffee cups in hand. We've got new systems, new engines, and new shields, she began. But the universe won't wait while we learn. We train, we adapt, and we make sure we can use these upgrades to their full potential. Mara, ever eager, grinned. Finally! I was hoping we'd get to try out the new engines before we faced something dangerous. Danger is coming, Lyra said calmly. But right now, we focus on what we can control. Let's get ready. The first session was held in the fleet's training area, a vast space filled with holographic targets, moving obstacles, and simulated combat scenarios. The Endeavour crew watched as fleet pilots maneuvered their ships with precision, weaving through simulated asteroid fields and evading attacks. Rian's jaw dropped. I've never seen piloting like this. How do they move so smoothly? Lyra smiled. Practice, Rian. And human ingenuity. Watch carefully and learn how they think, not just how they move. The exercises began. At first, the crew struggled to adapt to the upgraded systems. Engines responded faster than expected, shields required new calibration, and tactical controls had more options than they could process at once. Mistakes were frequent, and several near collisions left the crew tense. Steady, Mara, Lyra said over the comm. Use the new stabilization protocols. Trust the systems, but trust yourself too. Slowly, the crew began to adapt. They learned to integrate their instincts with the new technology. Maneuvers became smoother, shields adjusted automatically, and weapons targeting systems synchronized perfectly with their commands. It wasn't just about technology. Fleet commanders taught them strategy, improvisation, and teamwork. They emphasized thinking like humans, resourceful, adaptive, and unpredictable. Every exercise was designed to challenge assumptions, test creativity, and develop confidence. During one drill, the Endeavour faced a simulated fleet of enemy ships. The crew used the upgraded engines to weave through obstacles, while the shields absorbed repeated attacks. Mara suggested an unexpected maneuver, a daring split formation that allowed the Endeavour to strike from two angles. The fleet commander observed silently, then gave a nod of approval. That's what I like to see, he said. Humans don't follow patterns. They improvise. That's why they survive. Keep thinking like that. The crew smiled. Pride mingled with excitement. They weren't just learning new systems, they were learning how humans excel when faced with challenges. Breaks between exercises were filled with laughter, coffee, and stories. Engineers shared tales of past missions, dangerous explorations, and clever solutions humans had devised in the most unlikely situations. Mara found herself laughing at a story about a ship that had been trapped in a meteor field, only to escape because the crew used mirrors to reflect sunlight and blind sensors. Even Rian, usually quiet, joined in. Humans really are amazing, he said. We think we're limited, but we always find a way. The training sessions grew more intense. Obstacles became faster, enemy simulations more unpredictable, and tactical scenarios more complex. The Endeavour crew adapted, integrating each lesson seamlessly into their maneuvers. They learned to communicate more effectively, anticipate threats, and make split-second decisions with confidence. One day, during a particularly challenging exercise, a holographic projection appeared above the ship. It simulated a massive fleet approaching at high speed. Sensors indicated multiple attack vectors, and the crew realized that this scenario tested every skill they had learned. Remember what we practiced, Lyra said. Trust the upgrades, trust the fleet, and most importantly, trust each other. Humans excel when we work together. The drill began. Shields responded automatically to incoming attacks, engines adjusted for optimal maneuvers, and tactical systems highlighted weak points in the simulated enemy formation. Mara piloted the Endeavour with precision, weaving between obstacles and striking from unexpected angles. Rian coordinated the defensive systems, directing shield strength and energy flow. Every crew member performed their role with skill and confidence. The simulated fleet was defeated not through raw power, but through clever strategy, teamwork, and human ingenuity. The fleet commander appeared on the comms, his holographic figure nodding. Excellent. You're learning fast. These upgrades aren't just tools, they're extensions of your abilities. Humans adapt, humans improvise, and humans endure. Remember that. The crew beamed with pride. They were not just passengers on their own ship, they were masters of it. Combining experience, skill, and technology in perfect harmony. Even as training continued, reports arrived from the outskirts of Orion space. Scouts had detected movement, large formations, distant and faint, but unmistakable signs of another fleet approaching. The threat was not immediate, but it was coming. Lyra gathered the crew. We've trained, we've upgraded, and we've prepared. The universe will test us soon, but we are ready. Earth has shown us the value of support, but our strength comes from within, from our ingenuity, courage, and unity. Mara raised her cup of coffee. Then let's show the universe what humans can do. The following days were a blend of training and preparation. The crew practiced advanced maneuvers, learned to coordinate with other fleet ships, and refined their strategies. Engineers continued to share knowledge, teaching the crew how to make the most of the new systems, from adaptive shields to faster-than-expected engines. Every exercise had a lesson. Every mistake became an opportunity. Every success reinforced confidence. The Endeavor was no longer a ship struggling with damage, it was a symbol of human capability and determination. At night, the crew often gathered in the lounge, sharing stories, coffee, and quiet moments of reflection. They discussed past missions, clever tactics, and what humans were capable of when united. Lyra watched her crew, feeling a swell of pride. Humans were not perfect, but they were capable of incredible things when they believed in themselves and each other. One evening, Mara asked, "Do you think we're really ready for what's coming?" Lyra smiled. "We're as ready as humans ever are. We can't predict everything, but we can adapt, think creatively, and support each other. That's what makes us strong. That's what makes us human." Rian, ever the realist, nodded. "I've never felt more confident in my life. We're upgraded, trained, and united. Nothing can break us if we stick together." And so, the Endeavor crew continued their preparation. The fleet around them moved in coordinated patterns, practicing maneuvers, testing systems, and sharing knowledge. The atmosphere was filled with focus, excitement, and the quiet thrill of anticipation. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly. The approaching fleet from Orion space was still distant, but its presence loomed in the minds of the crew. Yet they were not afraid. They were humans. They adapted, they improvised, they endured. The final day of training arrived. The crew executed a full-scale simulation, combining every lesson, every upgrade, and every strategy they had learned. Obstacles were navigated flawlessly. Shields absorbed repeated simulated attacks. Engines responded with precision, and the Endeavor struck from unexpected angles. When the simulation ended, the fleet commander appeared again. "Excellent. You are ready. Not just to survive, but to thrive. Remember this. Humans never give up. Humans never surrender. And humans always find a way." The crew cheered, raising their cups of coffee in celebration. The smell of the warm drink mingled with the hum of upgraded engines and the soft glow of the fleet around them. It was a moment of triumph, a moment of pride, and a moment that reminded them why humans were capable of so much. Lyra looked around at her crew, each face filled with determination and excitement. "Tomorrow," she said quietly, "we face the unknown, but we do it together, as humans, and nothing can stop us when we are united." The crew nodded, silent understanding passing between them. They had trained, they had prepared, and they had grown stronger. The Endeavor was no longer just a starship. It was a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and unity. As the stars twinkled outside, the crew felt ready for the challenge, ready for the adventure, ready to show the universe what humans were truly capable of. Because humans adapted, humans endured, humans thrived, and together, they were unstoppable. The stars outside the Endeavor glimmered like distant diamonds, calm and unchanging. But inside the ship, the atmosphere was electric. Sensors had detected movement far off at first, just faint blips, then larger formations. A fleet of unknown origin was approaching Orion space, moving steadily toward them. The scouts reported that this fleet was larger than anything the Endeavour crew had encountered before. Captain Lyra stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the readings. "This is it," she said, her voice steady. "All of our training, all of our upgrades, all of our preparation, it all comes down to this. Everyone ready?" Mara grinned, fingers hovering over the tactical controls. "Ready as ever, Captain. Let's show them what humans can do." Rian nodded from the navigation console. "Engines and shields at full power. Fleet formation coordinated. We're ready." The first of the approaching ships appeared on the sensors, a massive silhouette cutting through the darkness. It was a heavily armed vessel, its design unfamiliar, but its intent clear. This fleet meant business. The humans of Earth had prepared for such a situation, and now it was time to prove that their preparation, ingenuity, and courage could meet the challenge. The Earth fleet moved into position around the Endeavour, a protective ring that gleamed in the faint light of distant stars. These ships were upgraded, just like the Endeavour, and every crew member aboard them was trained, confident, and ready. But what set humans apart was not just technology, it was adaptability. "Remember," Lyra said, addressing her crew, "they expect patterns, predictability. Humans don't follow patterns. We improvise. We adapt. That is our greatest strength." The hostile fleet advanced, sending signals of intimidation, weapons systems activating, and sensors probing. But the humans did not panic. The fleet commander's voice came over the comms, calm and commanding. "Formations steady. Shields up. Engines ready. Strike when necessary. But think creatively. Humans endure. Because humans think." The first exchange began. The unknown fleet fired, sending waves of energy that slammed against the Earth fleet's shields. The shields held, adaptive and strong, as the humans responded with countermaneuvers. The Endeavour moved through the formation, weaving between obstacles and striking from angles the enemy had not anticipated. Mara adjusted the shields, rerouting energy to protect the ship's weaker points. "They're faster than we expected, Captain. But they're predictable if we think ahead." Lyra nodded. "Then let's stay ahead of them. Use what we learned, adapt and improvise." The battle continued, not in a frenzy of chaos, but in a dance of strategy and skill. The Earth fleet coordinated seamlessly, each ship complementing the other. The Endeavour became a key part of the maneuvers, striking from unexpected positions, drawing attention, and allowing other ships to advance safely. Rian shouted over the comms, pointing at the sensors. "They're trying to flank us. I've never seen anyone move that fast." "Then we move faster," Lyra said firmly. "Engage adaptive engines. Think ahead. Humans never give up." The Endeavour accelerated, gliding through the enemy formation with precision. Shields adjusted automatically to the attacks, and the upgraded weapon systems targeted weak points with remarkable accuracy. The crew's training, combined with the engineers' upgrades, allowed them to act as one, anticipating movements and responding instantly. Outside, the stars blurred with the speed of travel, but the crew remained focused, eyes sharp, fingers steady. Every maneuver was calculated yet flexible. Every action a testament to human ingenuity. During a critical moment, the enemy attempted a concentrated attack on the Endeavour, aiming to disable the ship quickly. Mara and the engineering team worked frantically to reinforce shields and recalibrate systems in real time. "Divert energy to the forward shields and reverse thrust," Mara shouted. "We can outmaneuver them." With a sudden burst, the Endeavour shifted trajectory, dodging the attack and striking a weak point in the enemy formation. The enemy fleet faltered, confused by the unpredictable human maneuvers. Lyra smiled, a surge of pride rushing through her. Humans never surrender. They improvise, adapt, and endure. Let's keep proving that. The Earth fleet coordinated a series of complex maneuvers, drawing the enemy into traps without direct confrontation. The Endeavour led some of these moves, using upgraded engines to appear where the enemy least expected. Humans were flexible, unpredictable, and clever, and the enemy began to struggle to maintain control. "Captain, they're trying to regroup," Rian said, "but we've anticipated their moves." "Good," Lyra replied. "Now we finish this. Stay coordinated, stay sharp, and trust your instincts." The final series of maneuvers was a symphony of human skill and ingenuity. Shields absorbed attacks, engines powered through impossible turns, and weapons systems struck with precision. Every crew member on the Endeavour worked in perfect harmony, trusting one another, thinking creatively, and executing flawlessly. The enemy fleet, overwhelmed by the humans' adaptability and coordination, began to retreat. Their formations broke apart, and they fled into the vastness of space, unable to predict the humans' next move. The Endeavour and the Earth fleet pursued cautiously, ensuring the enemy could not regroup. When the sensors showed no further threats, the fleet commander appeared on the comms. His holographic image was calm, but his voice carried pride. "Excellent work. You have proven what humans are capable of. Not just technology, not just ships, but courage, ingenuity, and unity. Humans endure because they adapt, because they improvise, because they never give up." The crew of the Endeavour cheered. The tension of battle gave way to relief and exhilaration. They had faced a fleet far larger and more powerful than themselves, and yet, through skill, cooperation, and determination, they had prevailed. Mara leaned back in her chair, sipping coffee and smiling. "I never thought I'd enjoy a battle so much. But we did it. We really did it." Rian laughed. "We adapted. We improvised. We survived. That's what humans do." Lyra nodded, gazing out at the stars. "This is more than victory. This is proof. Proof that humans can face any challenge, no matter how big, and overcome it. Our strength is not in numbers alone, but in our ability to think, to adapt, and to work together." The Earth fleet formed a protective ring around the Endeavour, ensuring their journey back to Earth would be safe. Engineers and crew members from other ships came aboard to check systems, share insights, and offer congratulations. Coffee was poured, stories were shared, and laughter echoed through the corridors. Even in the aftermath of battle, the humans maintained their focus. They repaired minor damages, recalibrated systems, and prepared for the next challenge. Every action reinforced the lessons they had learned. Unity, ingenuity, adaptability, and courage were their greatest weapons. At one point, Lyra walked to the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Earth glowed softly in the distance, a reminder of home and the place that had prepared them so well. The stars beyond were vast and unknown, but she felt no fear. Humans had faced challenges before and had always risen to meet them. A small voice over the comms broke her thoughts. "Captain, the crew wants to know. When do we get coffee again?" Lyra laughed softly. "Soon," she replied, smiling. "We've earned it. Humanity always celebrates small victories, even among the stars." Mara joined her, leaning against the railing. "You know, Captain, this is more than just a battle. It's a lesson. Humans are capable of incredible things when we trust each other, when we adapt, and when we never give up." "Yes," Lyra said, her gaze firm on the stars. "But humans rise to every challenge. That is who we are." The crew of the Endeavour returned to their stations, their hearts full of pride and confidence. The fleet continued its journey, moving as one, a shining testament to what humanity could achieve when united. As the stars stretched endlessly outside, the Endeavour no longer felt small or alone. It was part of something greater, a symbol of human resilience, ingenuity, and courage. And in the hearts of every crew member, one truth was clear. Humans endure, humans adapt, humans thrive, and together, they are unstoppable. For the universe may be vast. The challenges may be great. and the dangers may be unknown. But humans, united and determined, are ready for anything. And somewhere in the distance, Earth's engineers smiled, knowing that humanity had proven itself once again, clever, brave, and unstoppable, even among the stars.